Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Potter Podcast. I hope you guys are doing well as we are sitting here and we are going to be discussing an important topic today, something that's been kind of relevant to a lot of situations right now that we've been in, especially in our current market. And we are going to be discussing today what the importance is of a deadline, but also the advantages and disadvantages of those things. Okay, so let me first point out that as a contract comes in and we're dealing with deadlines, right, there's an expiration date on that contract. But a lot of times that expiration date doesn't seem to get honored, and people get upset by it and things like that. And we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. We're also going to dive into, especially for those of you that are in markets that are sellers markets, multiple offers, low inventory, all that kind of stuff, like here in Omaha. One of those things, and one of the major things that we keep coming across is this deadline of when sellers are going to review offers. So for example, there's a lot of people that will list on a Thursday or Friday, and then they'll put in that listing seller to review offers on Sunday or Monday at this time. And they do that to allow enough people to get through the property and hopefully drive enough traffic where they create this frenzy of multiple offers, right? And so that's how these things get to 15, 20, 30 grand over the asking price, is because now buyers feel like they have a timeline, right? They have a deadline that they need to get this thing into, and they need to get their best foot forward in writing the most aggressive offer that they possibly can in hopes that they're going to get this house. So what are the pros or the cons or the advantages or disadvantages as we're talking about some of these things? Let me address it first from a seller's standpoint, okay? So in this market, when you have low inventory and you have enough buyers out there, right, the demand's high, it's probably wise to not only take the first offer that comes on the table, but to wait it out and see what other offers come in, right? Like, that's something that we would advise you to do. But it's my job as a real estate agent, as those offers come in, to present them to you in a timely fashion. And what I mean by that is, if I get an offer that comes in, I should be sending or forwarding that offer over to you so you can at least look through it and see what's on the table, right? If you are one of those agents that likes to say, well, we've said that we're going over offers at this time and we're not going to look at any of them and we're going to just hold on to them until we get there, I suppose that's fine, but I don't feel like that's doing the best duty of your job to, at least in your responsibility by law, to get that over to an agent right away, or not an agent, a seller right away, okay? So here is the advantages of it, obviously, if you're a seller, okay? If you're a seller, obviously the advantage is you're going to create, or at least hope to create, this multiple offer situation for you. So you list your house on a Thursday or Friday, you're going to review offers on Sunday or Monday, and so you're giving this 24 to 48 hour, in this case 48 hour, 72 hour time frame of buyers to get through the house and to write up on that property. So it creates this timeline of, there's not really a whole lot of time as a buyer to sleep on this and make a decision, right? You need to, if you love the house and you're going through it as a buyer, then you need to write up as soon as possible, because you want to get that in and over to the seller so that they will have that in time to review it during that timeline. Now, here is one of those things that can be a disadvantage, you know, if you are a seller and you're waiting that out. This happened to me this past weekend, actually, and so I want to share this story with you. So here's what happened. We had a house for sale that we had listed, that I had listed, and we were going to review offers Sunday at 8 o'clock. Okay, so we created, again, we're listing, just to put this into perspective, we're listing a house at 149.9. My people are in a desired area, so location is great. The condition is phenomenal. They did a lot of updates to the house, and so I knew going into this situation that there were going to be multiple offers. I know the market. I know what people are looking for. I was setting this up to create this multiple offer situation. And so we had numerous showings start going through on Friday and Saturday. And on Saturday night, we actually got a cash offer, okay? We got a cash offer on this property. I'm not going to tell you for how much, but it was well over the asking price. And so my sellers, right, like my job is to present those offers as they come in. So as these offers were coming in, I was presenting these to my sellers. And at that point, when they saw this cash offer, they're like, hey, this is good enough. We don't need to wait till Sunday. Let's just wrap it up. And so, we made the decision, they made the decision to basically go ahead and sign off and put the deal together. Now, let me give you a little background of what was happening during this situation. So we come to find out these buyers had written up on another property. Okay, so they had written up on another property that had a deadline of, basically, I think it was Sunday at 5 p.m., right? So they have a deadline at 5 p.m. Our deadline was at 8 p.m., but they're like, hey, we like your house more. We toured it today, and so we want to make an offer. And so if you think our offer would get accepted tonight before your deadline, then we would potentially move forward with yours, and we would rescind our offer, but just let us know what you think. And so my sellers were like, well, yeah, if it's cash offer and it's good, let's do it. And so they rescinded their offer on the other property. And so they went ahead and they moved forward with ours on our property. Now, again, here's where the disadvantage is if you're a seller, because that seller just lost out on a cash buyer that was going to come through and write up on their property that probably had a good chance of getting it. But they wanted to wait until Sunday at 5 p.m. to review those offers, where my people were like, hey, I know we're saying Sunday at 8 p.m., but if we get a good enough offer, we're going to accept it and we're going to move forward. So there's a disadvantage and an advantage, right, in that situation, because obviously the advantage is, when you're presenting offers as they come in, your sellers can accept an offer whenever they want. So let me make that clear too, is the sellers in this situation, it doesn't matter when there's been a date or a time that's been set. A seller can do whatever they want, okay? Our job is to represent them and do what they're asking us to do. And so if a seller's like, I want to take that offer, then you can help them write up that offer and put it together, and they can take it, regardless of when there's a time frame or whatever. They can do whatever they want, okay? And so some people need to understand that, because I started getting some text messages on Sunday after church and from different agents that were like, hey, you said you were reviewing offers at 8. And I was like, yeah, that was the case, but I was also presenting the offers because that's my fiduciary duty to do that to for my clients. And so I was submitting offers as they came in, and they reserve the right to accept an offer prior to that deadline if they want. Like, that's their choice. And so that was the situation there. So that was the advantage there for my sellers, because they got a cash buyer that they may not have gotten if they would have waited later on down the road, because maybe that other cash offer would have got accepted on that other house, and they would have, or those cash buyers would have waited to see if their offer got accepted, and then they would have wrote up on ours. And like I said, we could have lost out on that because they might have accepted that offer on the previous house, and then we no longer had the cash buyer. So there's the advantages and disadvantages of that, and knowing that now. Let me speak to you from a buyer standpoint, okay? So again, using this story and talking about this story, it's important for you to understand as a buyer that just because there's a deadline doesn't mean that you can't submit your offer prior, like even days before that deadline is up, right? Because you can submit that offer, and who knows, that seller could say, hey, if this is a good enough aggressive offer, they might accept it and they might move forward with it, and they have the right to do that. So if you wait longer, right, even if there's other people that are writing up offers, they may accept your offer if it's good enough. Or they may be someone that's like, you know what, we're just going to wait, and we're going to wait until we collect 16, 20 offers, and we're going to go through those on Sunday night. It totally depends on whatever the seller is willing to do. But know from a buyer standpoint that might work in your advantage if you put your offer in prior to that, like a day or two before, and it's a good offer, the seller may accept it. And sometimes the seller acknowledges too in those situations that, hey, these were some of the first people to write up, and it was a really good offer, and it's competing with some of these people here or there. And you know what? It's a difference of like $1,000 or $2,000, but we're going to accept theirs because they got it in first. So that's the advantage for you as a buyer if you're thinking about, well, I mean, we have till Sunday to wait. Well, I mean, what if these other people, like in my situation, that waited until Sunday after church to tell me that they were going to write up? It was too late, right? They didn't even get a chance. They didn't even get an opportunity. And I didn't get a text message or a phone call or anything from those agents telling me that they were going to write up. So that's the other thing. I mean, you've got to have an agent that understands and knows the market and understands how things are going and moving quickly in this current market, right? They've got to understand the time frame and the way that things are constantly going about and moving in the current market, because if they don't, they're going to lose out. And just like these other two that called me on Sunday, and who knows, there could have been more, but I penned it so they would know that. But you've got to understand that as a buyer to know that, like, I need an agent that knows exactly what's going on every single day in this market and in this industry. So they're going to represent me to the best of my interests, and they're going to get things in on time, and they're going to know that time is of the essence, right? Like, that's a phrase that we use a lot in the real estate industry. And if you haven't heard that, what it basically means is there are certain time frames on a lot of things that happen throughout the real estate transaction. So time is always of the essence because you have certain deadlines and time frames that you have to hit with certain things, okay? So if your agent doesn't understand that time is of the essence and they need to get an offer in today rather than wait until tomorrow, and possibly lose out on that, you need to find a different agent, okay? Like, time is of the essence, and time is not in your favor as a buyer right now in the current market conditions, okay? If you're in a seller's market with low inventory, you don't have time to sleep on it. You don't have time to wait until tomorrow, because tomorrow there may be the cash buyer that comes in and writes up and then you just lost out, or that night that you just lost out on. So you have to be aware of what is happening in the current market and how that works. So as we discuss some of these advantages and disadvantages of putting time frames on everything, I think you just need to be aware of those things. Now, again, as I've gone through this example and I've gone through these things, I'm a man that likes to do things of integrity. I like to think that I try to do everything right and honor my word and honor other people and things like that. And so just recently, honestly, we've started, and at least I've started thinking about, I may not even start putting a time frame on when we're going to review offers, because I feel like in a lot of cases we'll put a time frame, but we end up accepting an offer prior to that time frame just because somebody's quick to get it in and it's a really aggressive, good offer, and we know we're probably not going to get a better one, and we end up accepting it. And then what's that do? It makes a lot of other agents and people unhappy because they're like, well, you said at this time, and it's like, I want to be a man of my word. I also know that sellers can basically make that decision whenever they want. And yes, that was the plan to review offers at that time, but we didn't get to that point because we got a really good offer. So moving forward, at least something that I've kind of learned here throughout this entire thing as I continue to learn every day as I'm in this industry is maybe the time frame isn't the best thing to do, right? As a seller, like maybe it is like, okay, let's just let offers come in and review them as they come in and let's go. But I will say if you are someone that's in that price range, and your realtor is going to know this, where it's going to create that a lot of traffic and it's going to create that frenzy, maybe you do that time frame, right? But then stick to it. I know you can't control, or you don't know like what those offers are going to be, but other agents need to understand that too. As you go through that is. And I feel like most agents do when you tell them, and at least I do, like if I'm like, hey, I saw that this went pending and you guys were going to review offers tomorrow, and they're like, yeah, we got a cash offer. I'm like, all right, well, I don't have a cash buyer, so we wouldn't have won that anyway. But it's something to think about as you're an agent out there too, if you're thinking about representing, and not to get upset with, some of these listing agents that are calling off these times or whatever because they get a good offer. It's just, it's the way it is, the way the market is, and cash is king. So if you have cash, that's obviously going to be the best offer that's ultimately probably on the table. Why? Because you're going to get paid faster. It's straight cash. You don't have to worry about an appraisal. And so that's why as realtors and as sellers, you love to see a cash offer come in, followed by like a conventional loan and then an FHA loan and VA loans and things like that. But that's another question, another topic for another day as far as loans. But anyways, I hope that answers your guys' questions as it relates to just time frames and timelines as it relates to a seller and a buyer and meeting those times where you're going to try to write up and meet that deadline. But at the end of the day, let me recap. If you're a buyer and you're out in this market, the thing that you want to do, if you love the house, okay, if you love it, then make an aggressive offer, write up as quickly as possible and get that over to the listing agent, because even though there may be a deadline, they still could accept it, okay? That's the good news there for a buyer. If you're a seller, understand that you have the right to accept or move forward or counter any offer that comes in at any given time. And so even though you may set a deadline or a day that you're going to review offers, if there's a good one, you have the right to do that. And so with that being said, I hope that clears that up a little bit, as that's been a question that's been asked quite a bit. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode coming up in the near future. I cannot believe we are getting to the end of September. This is crazy. This year has slowly but fastly gone by. That's kind of weird to say, but slowly, I think because of COVID and everything that we've been going through there, but fast as well. Nothing has slowed down for us, at least here in Omaha. Real estate continues to be good, whether you're a buyer or a seller. Interest rates are low. So again, if you are someone that's thinking about buying or selling a home, look us up. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you guys may have, and we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great one, and thanks for tuning in to the Potter Podcast.